You cited during your speech truth as the most important tenet of American conservatism. Why, therefore, did you call irrelevant the Israeli attack in 1967 on the USS Liberty, which left dozens of American servicemen dead and hundreds wounded?
So what I actually said is that if we're looking at modern Israeli-American relations, looking at an attack that happened mistakenly by multiple Navy reports, multiple Israeli reports, and all available evidence, and using that attack in order to undermine today's relations between Israel and America, that's irrelevant. As irrelevant as it would be to cite a piece of evidence from World War II or from 1776 to define America's relations with, for example, Great Britain or Germany today. That does not mean that the attack wasn't horrible for the Americans involved, that it wasn't bloody and terrible. The Israeli government paid reparations to the people who were killed. If you look at the actual military record of what happened on the USS Liberty, it was clearly a mistaken and tragic attack. The people who frequently cite the USS Liberty, however, are not talking about the specifics of the USS Liberty. I suspect that the vast majority of people who bring this up are doing so in order to suggest that Israel deliberately attacked an American ship because Israel deliberately wants to harm America. It is connected generally with a larger point. I wonder if that's your point.
If the truth matters, then the Israeli government must be held accountable for that attack. The American flag was flying on that ship. You do not mistake an American ship for a foreign one when our flag is flying.
So, we can spend the rest of the time talking about the specifics of the U.S. Liberty attack, or you can actually go look at the naval investigations that were done, multiple naval investigations that were done. The reality is that people were flying Mirage planes for the Israeli military at the time. The USS Liberty was sailing in an area where it had essentially gone off-grid. The Israeli military mistook it for an Egyptian ship. They thought it was shelling Al Arish, which happened not to be true. In the initial attack, the American flag was knocked down, and then the attack went on for about 90 minutes. And then, as soon, you can hear this, by the way, on the tapes of the Israeli pilots talking to each other, as soon as they realize that it's an American ship, they call off the attack, they speed a ship to try and help the USS Liberty. There have been multiple unfortunate friendly fire incidents between Allied forces, including, for example, in the Gulf War, where U.S. forces were responsible for killing about 9 British troops during the Gulf War. It's an unfortunate reality of war, but you're not answering my question, which is, what is your broader agenda in asking the question? Because I suspect that your question is not limited to your specific ire over an incident that happened in 1967.
I think we should question any foreign country's relationship with our government.
That's totally fine, but I'm just wondering why you
serve American interests.
Again, I'm perfectly fine with questioning any country's relationship with the United States. But again, I'm wondering what your motivation is in bringing up a 6-decade-old attack as though it is the #1 issue in assessing the relationship between Israel and the United States today.
Well, many problems persist to this day, but it's interesting that you say 6-decade-old incident when there are many people in this audience who were alive for that attack, as if this is something that's irrelevant.
Well, no, it's just not particularly relevant to assessing the relationship between the United States and Israel today, in the same way that in 1967, there are a wide variety of countries with which the United States had different relations. Okay, it's clear you're not going to actually answer the question, so I'm happy to move to this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, patriots, truth seekers, welcome back to the show again. As you already know, this is not a regular broadcast. Today I got a guest with me. I'm not here alone. I like to do this alone, but today I need some assistance. Today we're going to cover a lot of stuff, but with my guest, it's a special guy because he's been wanting to do this for a very long time. He's been watching people who have, rose to prominence like Trump, who came in through down the escalator. This guy watched him, got inspired. He watched people like Alex Jones and all the great thinkers that have, who are doing the great stuff today. Stayed, watched from the sideline, but a couple months ago he decided that, hey, enough is enough, and I also need to share my opinion. My guy goes by the name of NICKY Rudd. He was in America Fest that just happened, the Charlie Kirk festival. And of course, he decided to go up front and ask a question, which of course it became a lot of controversial by the way how Jake, Ben Shapiro answered it. And it went viral, and he decided, hey, since I'm already in, I might as well carry on. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 23 years old from Texas, Nicky Rudd. Nicky, how you doing today, bro?
Doing fantastic, Baraka. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm just hanging in. I'm just waiting for this. As right now, as we speak, there's your country's about to go on, with on military strike with the Islamic Republic of Iran. So I'm excited for this. Given that you're American yourself, I want to hear your perspective of what's going on. That your country is being dragged to another foreign conflict. I want to hear it from America himself, saying, what do you guys think? But yeah, I'm good. So tell me, for those who don't know who you are, who is Nick Rudd? I mean, who's that person? All we know is that you're 23 years old. You're a guy who confronted Ben Shapiro on live television at Amfest. Could you tell us who you are and why you decided to basically put yourself in that lion's den, in a sense?
Well, my name's Nicky Rudd. I'm a 23-year-old young man from Texas, born and raised. I'm in my senior year of college right now. If you listened to the internet, though, I'm sorry if you can hear anything going on around me. I got some people working in an office next to me. But if you listen to the internet and not me, then you would think I was a plant. I was a Fed controlled opposition sent by who? No one knows. It might be Bibi Netanyahu, might be Donald Trump, it might be Qatar. Who knows who it is? Yeah, at first the Zionists were accusing me of being a plant against Israel, and
Right.
then I said one thing in support of taking out Maduro in Venezuela. Then a bunch of communists said I was a Trump plant Zionist. So,
It
I
changes.
don't really know who to listen to anymore. But I would say I'm just a young man who loves his country, speaks up for what he believes in, and wants to fight.
Yeah, that has changed now. Nowadays, you don't just speak. Nowadays, every time when you speak, you basically are slowly digging yourself a, I mean, in a literal sense, given what we've seen with Charlie Kirk, which we're going to talk about. Nowadays, when you speak, you're basically digging yourself a grave for yourself. So the attacks are coming from both sides, and even the people who probably supported you at first, the ones who hated, the ones who hate Ben Shapiro, will probably support you. And the moment you probably celebrated Maduro capture, those people are probably the ones who attacked you as well, right?
Yep, 100%. The switch up was crazy, man.
It happens very
But
fast.
that's just how it goes.
It happens very fast. Nowadays, people want you to just confirm their belief every time when you speak. They don't want you to share yours because they fear that every time when you share yours, there's obviously, they're not going to agree. And every time when they don't agree, they attack you. And this is the world where we're living in now. Thanks to our prime minister here in the UK, we get arrested for saying stuff that they don't agree with. So it's like, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're a brave man. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I would do if I was over there with some of my beliefs and some of the things I've already said. I mean, they might come after me. So I respect you and every other patriot. I'm ethnically English and Scottish with a bit of Irish as well. So
Mm,
the UK is very close to my heart. I've been there
yeah.
before, actually.
You have?
I
Where do
traveled
you
there
go?
in 2019. So I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian my whole life. In high school, I was part of a church choir that went on a mission trip to the UK. And we went around and sang songs for people and also told them about Jesus after that. And so we traveled around to a decent amount. I feel like I actually have a pretty
Wait.
good grasp on what the UK is like
Oh,
because we went to the big cities like London,
mm,
but then we went to the middle-sized cities. I think York's not huge. We went to York, and then we went to some small areas as well, like Teesside. I remember off the top of my head, like very rural areas, and so
mm.
I feel like I really was able to see the English people and find out what they are truly like, because most people just go to London and that's it.
Yeah. I think nowadays, if you go to London to feel what British feels like, or to see what Britain is like, I think you're going to the wrong place. You probably have to
Yeah.
uh go to the rural area, as you mentioned, where you can actually see and hear people's accent, the real British accent. Because obviously, if you go to London, you'll see a lot of you might see a tourist. and think that's you know, a British guy. There's there's a lot of different people around, as of course they say multiculturalism is our strength. So of course in London it's being culturally diverse, I have to say. Now, so tell me, of course, how you became the person who you are today, where people know who Nick Rod is. Now, how did that happen? Because at first I seen your video. Why was you there? Because you mentioned you spoke to me before. You told me that you wanted to join. After what happened to Charlie Kirk, you wanted to join Turning Point USA, and you went to the Amfest. Could you tell me more about that? And also, we're gonna segue into the conversation with you and Ben Shapiro.
Absolutely. So I have been watching, like every young American conservative, Charlie Kirk for years. I always respected him. I didn't always agree with some of the things that he said, specifically like regarding foreign policy, but it seemed as time went on, he continued to become more bold in an America first position, especially in the last 6 months of his life. He stood up to the neocons, the war hawks, who sought to drag us into a war with Iran,
Mm,
and also on many other topics. Some people, as they get older and they become more entrenched in the establishment, they get worse. They abandon their beliefs.
that's
They
right.
give up on the America First principles. Charlie Kirk was the opposite.
Mm,
Towards the end of his life was when he was the most solid, when he was the strongest and fought for our country the most. So when he was shot, it really affected me, as it did many other people. Obviously, it's
yeah,
extremely graphic what happened to him. So
yeah,
if you weren't affected and you weren't filled with some sort of emotion from that, I think you've lost your
anger.
humanity.
Yeah,
But on top of that, being someone who Charlie Kirk was really growing on me. I already respected him a lot, but I was starting to become a really big supporter of him. Seeing that, I felt like I didn't have a choice. I could no longer stand on the sidelines. This is my country and it's going up in flames. And either I can stand up and fight or I can sit back and let my country die.
yeah.
So I decided I wasn't going to do that. I went up actually the day Charlie was assassinated. We had a rally at my school for him, and there was a lot of people. Prayer vigils were going on, and I felt like I had to say something. So I got in front of everybody. I gave a speech about Charlie, about his impact, his love of Christ, what he did for our country,
Mm-hmm.
and people loved the speech a lot. And I was put in like the school newspaper. And when I also joined TPUSA at my college campus that day. So
Oh,
that's
sick.
kind of Charlie getting shot is what launched all of this. And it was joining the TPUSA chapter at my school that led me to go to AmFest, because I
Mm,
wouldn't have even really been thinking about it if I didn't be a member of the chapter and have friends that were going. So when Charlie got shot, that it pushed me towards all these events. It was like a domino effect. So then I go to AmFest with some other people from the chapter. And, people like I was referring to earlier, calling me a plant, calling me a Fed. Man,
mm,
I was a kid sitting in the audience. All my friends are like booing Ben Shapiro. Nobody likes him.
mm.
And so I'm like, hey, should I go press this guy? Because he was attacking everyone who is worth something in the right wing right now. He
Yeah.
was attacking Tucker. He was attacking Nick. He was attacking Candace. He was attacking Megyn Kelly. Alex Jones, basically everyone who's actually good on our side.
Mm.
So I leaned over and looked at some other people. I'm like, man, should I go up and press this guy? And everyone's like, yeah, go do it. So that's what I did. And man, just the videos took off on Twitter and online. And that's where I find myself today. And I decided to try to capitalize on it and put my beliefs out there, fight for my country. And that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm going to continue to do.
Yeah. So for those people who are just joining, this is you with basically Ben Shapiro. Now let's get this thing on the screen. Now, obviously, that is Ben Shapiro there.
During your speech, truth as the most important tenet of American conservatism. Why, therefore, did you call irrelevant the Israeli attack in 1967.
So for those people who are obviously young or maybe not know what the Israeli attack that you're mentioning about, could you tell them a little bit so they know what you're referring to? Because I've watched podcasts about
Absolutely.
USS Liberty. I know a little bit about it to understand what you were talking about. But for those who completely don't know, could you also talk over that?
Absolutely. I can give a breakdown of the attack, try to keep it brief. So, the USS Liberty was a naval intelligence ship that the US was operating off the coast of Egypt during the Six-Day War. This is 1967, and it is in the middle of the Six-Day War between Israel and Egypt. Israel claims to this day that they believed it was an Egyptian ship, that it was a misidentification. They didn't mean to attack an American ship. Well, there's several problems with that story. So, to give you a breakdown, I'm not sure if y'all can still see me. I will continue to speak.
Yeah, we can
But
see.
the USS Liberty was a naval intelligence ship. If you were to look at and compare the USS Liberty with any type of Egyptian ship of the day, there would be no mistake, very different types, not similar at all. On top of that, the name USS Liberty and the whole number of the ship were clearly delineated, marked on the side of the ship.
Right.
So anybody who's looking at that ship is going to be able to identify the name of the ship, what country it's from, and the whole number, which would identify what country it belonged to. And just to be specific, it was a perfect day. There was no fog, perfect weather. There were no problems being able to identify the ship. On top of that, the flag, American flag, was flying on the ship. The first attack by Israel knocked the flag down. Well, the soldiers on the ship raised another one, signifying and signaling to the Israelis, we are Americans. There you go, right there.
Right.
Another dagger in the Israeli story is that the attack lasted for 90 minutes, for an hour and a half. This is not a 5 or 30 second, oh, sorry, we just shot you, we just bombed you really quick, we thought you were somebody else. No, this is a repeated attack for an hour and a half, right? Imagine how many times planes have to go over and over again, looping, shooting, bombing the same ship to carry out an attack for an hour and a half. The final point I will make is that Israel did not only attack with planes, they also attacked with ships. The final weapon fired upon the USS Liberty was torpedoes, torpedoes shot by a ship. I've heard arguments from some Zionists in the past, well, they were planes, they were 30,000 feet in the air, which 30,000 feet in the air is ridiculous anyways, but they're super high in the air. They weren't able to see the flag. They couldn't see the soldiers. They couldn't see the name USS Liberty or the whole number. Well, the last weapon fired was torpedoes from an Israeli ship. If you're in a ship, you're at the waterline. What does that mean? You're at the waterline. You can clearly see, without mistaking, the flag, the soldiers, the name, and the whole number. Without question, they were able to tell it was a naval intelligence American ship. Without question. So
Right.
there's no argument that can be taken at face value or that can be accepted that Israel did not know who they were attacking. We also have the radio communications of Israeli
Yeah, and
high chain of command saying, bomb them anyways. The pilots are saying, isn't this an American ship? Then their higher ups in the chain of command say, bomb the ship. And they followed and carried out the orders.
but one might argue that your president also defended the attack.
No, because he's bought and sold by Israel. Yeah, LBJ was a traitor to the country.
So you think LBJ knew about the attack and he let it go on?
Whether he knew beforehand,
Or do you think he got to
I'm
know
not
and he
sure, but
covered it
he
up?
knew. Oh, he absolutely, it was a cover up, without question. The U.S. So there's one thing Ben Shapiro said to me is that he said there was multiple naval intelligence investigations into the attack. Okay, there was two investigations, one by America, one by Israel. Obviously, it's in every single Israeli interest to claim that they didn't know who it was. You can't really accept that. The American investigation lasted for 1 week, and we have countless testimonials from USS Liberty soldiers who survived the attack stating, we were pressured to not speak about the Israeli attack. We were pressured to not say they must have known we were Americans. We were threatened with court-martial and other repercussions and ramifications. So we've got the testimonials already from the eyewitnesses and survivors themselves stating that the LBJ administration is corrupt. They're allowing this to happen, and they're allowing the Israelis to go without any ramifications, without punishment. So we know that LBJ, and he was, if you look into his life as well, certainly a corrupt man. So we know we can't accept that.
Right. So there's a lot of things to talk about here, and of course, obviously, you debated Ben Shapiro about it because he was trying to downplay the incidents of, obviously, I mean, I don't know how many of those victims are alive today because obviously they are quite old people now, and I think most of them are quite, obviously have passed because obviously that's it's an old time, especially those guys were probably mid-age or maybe in their 20s. Now they're probably in their like 80s. So how many people did America lose from those attacks?
34 American sailors were killed, and over 100 American sailors were wounded.
Yeah, so that's huge. That's huge for an unprovocable attack. So now this is your debate with him regarding this issue, and this is how it goes down. I'm gonna play the whole thing, and then you can obviously tell us more about what you thought about it, and if you think his take was okay, and if you think maybe there was something that you said that was wrong, maybe you came across provocative, or maybe you're trying to hit something else he didn't get. I don't know. We can go through it. So let's just play the whole thing for the audience as well to understand what we're talking about here.
On the USS Liberty, with left dozens of American servicemen dead and hundreds wounded.
So what I actually said is that if we're looking at modern Israeli-American relations, looking at an attack that happened mistakenly by multiple Navy reports, multiple Israeli reports, and all available evidence, and using that attack in order to undermine today's relations between Israel and America, that's irrelevant. As irrelevant as it would be to cite a piece of evidence from World War II or from 1776 to define America's relations with, for example, Great Britain or Germany today. That does not mean that the attack wasn't horrible for the Americans involved, that it wasn't bloody and terrible. The Israeli government paid reparations to the people who were killed. If you look at the actual military record of what happened on the USS Liberty, it was clearly a mistaken and tragic attack. The people who frequently cite the USS Liberty, however, are not talking about the specifics of the USS Liberty. I suspect that the vast majority of people who bring this up are doing so in order to suggest that Israel deliberately attacked an American ship because Israel deliberately wants to harm America. It is connected generally with a larger point. I wonder if that's your point.
If the truth matters, then the Israeli government must be held accountable for that attack. The American flag was flying on that ship. You do not mistake an American ship for a foreign one when our flag is flying.
So, we can spend the rest of the time talking about the specifics of the U.S. Liberty attack, or you can actually go look at the naval investigations that were done, multiple naval investigations that were done. The reality is that people were flying Mirage planes for the Israeli military at the time. The USS Liberty was sailing in an area where it had essentially gone off-grid. The Israeli military mistook it for an Egyptian ship. They thought it was shelling Al Arish, which happened not to be true. In the initial attack, the American flag was knocked down, and then the attack went on for about 90 minutes. And then, as soon, you can hear this, by the way, on the tapes of the Israeli pilots talking to each other, as soon as they realize that it's an American ship, they call off the attack, they speed a ship to try and help the USS Liberty. There have been multiple unfortunate friendly fire incidents between Allied forces, including, for example, in the Gulf War, where U.S. forces were responsible for killing about 9 British troops during the Gulf War. It's an unfortunate reality of war, but you're not answering my question, which is, what is your broader agenda in asking the question? Because I suspect that your question is not limited to your specific ire over an incident that happened in 1967.
I think we should question any foreign country's relationship with our government.
That's totally fine, but I'm just wondering why you
serve American interests.
Again, I'm perfectly fine with questioning any country's relationship with the United States. But again, I'm wondering what your motivation is in bringing up a 6-decade-old attack as though it is the #1 issue in assessing the relationship between Israel and the United States today.
Well, many problems persist to this day, but it's interesting that you say 6-decade-old incident when there are many people in this audience who were alive for that attack, as if this is something that's irrelevant.
Well,
that doesn't
no, it's just not particularly relevant to assessing the relationship between the United States and Israel today, in the same way that in 1967, there are a wide variety of countries with which the United States had different relations. Okay, it's clear you're not going to actually answer the question, so I'm happy to move to this one.
Right. Okay, so it's better for us, it's good that we've played that video, so now the audience understand what, you've explained what USS Liberty ship attack was like, and this is the conversation that you had with Ben Shapiro. Now, after the conversation, what was your assessment after that? Given what his thoughts and the way he thinks about the attack on USS Liberty.
Well, he was lying. He was lying through his teeth. Every single point he was making was either an obfuscation or he was just trying to misrepresent my intentions, right? He was trying to attribute malintent and malicious intent into my line of questioning, because apparently you can't not support or criticize the state of Israel without being like an evil, hateful person, which is clearly, obviously ridiculous and not true. But I wasn't surprised at all. This is what Ben Shapiro does. Ben Shapiro calls, and those of his ilk, of his kind, they call like pro-Palestinians who have purple hair and are like the most liberal people you've ever met in your life, Nazis. Like, that's what they do. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard. Yeah, I'm sure the transgender, blue-haired, pro-Palestinian protester is a Nazi, right? Like, that's just a stupid and ridiculous thing to say. So when they try to do that to me, I'm not surprised, okay? It's a way of batting us down, of making us compliant, making us afraid to stand up and speak what is true in the face of their attacks. So I wasn't surprised. Afterwards, I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to be received. Obviously, I could hear people cheering for me at the moment, but I didn't know if I was going to get pressed by some Zionists at the event or something. But it's actually the opposite. I did not get a single negative comment in person. I think I had like 1 or 2 people the whole conference, because that was the very first day of the conference. There was still 3 more days.
Yeah.
So
it was the first. It was the first one to speak. And also I want to ask the shift, because Ben Shapiro has not spoke at this America Fest for almost more than 6 years. The last time he spoke, it was probably 2017-18. And this is obviously anybody, you can go and check all the previous America Fest. So, and when Charlie had the list of people who were going to speak, his name was not on there. So he was not meant to speak at all. But obviously after Charlie, God bless his soul, after he was assassinated, his name came, there was basically a new wave of new people who were going to speak, and he happened to be #1 to speak after Erica Kirk. So why do you think there was some sort of like basically ultimate change? This guy has not spoke there for over 6 years, but somehow he's going to speak #2. And he wasn't even he wasn't invited by Charlie. He was invited after Charlie was dead, after Charlie was killed.
In the vacuum of Charlie's absence, there's a power struggle going on behind the scenes. All respect to Erica. I'm not here to attack a widow, but I wouldn't say that this transition from Charlie to Erica being the CEO, it's not the same thing, okay? She does not have a stranglehold on TPUSA the way that Charlie did. Charlie was the leader. Charlie was the founder. TPUSA was Charlie. So now, in the wake of his death, his wife stepping up and taking over, while it's not necessarily a bad thing, there are people behind the scenes now who are pulling some strings that they couldn't have otherwise with Charlie at the helm. So it is very interesting, and many people have made that point to me, and it's very telling that Charlie did not want Ben Shapiro there. He's gone. Ben Shapiro is the first speaker of the entire event. So I think it was to set a tone. And the reason Ben would do it this year and no other year, one, Charlie probably the past few years especially wouldn't want him there. Two, he saw TPUSA as to his right, especially among the young people. Ben Shapiro sees TPUSA as a threat to, whether you want to call it Daily Wire, or you could even say Zionist hegemony over the American right wing. He sees TPUSA as a threat to that. And you can look at what they've been saying, what people, Zionists specifically, have been saying online. They view TPUSA and the youth, the college and high school aged conservatives who are in the TPUSA ranks, as a threat to the so-called Zionist conservative movement of the future. So this year, Ben Shapiro's goal was to go up there, shame and scare Tucker Carlson, Candace, Nick, all the big names who are speaking on behalf of the youth, and also shame and scare off the young people who might want to step up against him and his ilk. But obviously that didn't go well for him, because he immediately gets pressed by someone like me, right? The young people are done. We're not going to take the lies anymore, the manipulation, the blackmail. We're going to stand up. We're going to speak the truth. We're going to fight for our country. And I think that he believes he has more power than he actually does. Because if you're willing and unafraid to speak the truth will set you free, and it will give you power, and it will give you strength.
That's right.
Regardless of what kind of attacks they're going to levy and wage against you, what kind of war they're going to wage against you, you will be able to stand up in the face of the enemy, because you've got God on your side. And, God, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So if you're speaking truth, God is going to give you power, and he's going to give you the strength to carry on. So Ben Shapiro can attack us as much as he wants. He can sick out his his editor-in-chief to call me a Nazi. I don't know if you saw that. The editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire tweeted at me and called me a Nazi youth. And the point of that
Wow.
is to scare me. Yeah, that's
But,
crazy, man. That's
but
insane.
why do they easily call? We have a problem here in the UK with the left as well. I've been called a far right Nazi as well from the left, but I also
Yeah.
see that coming. It's rising also among the people on the right as well, where they're also starting. Basically, now they started naming and smear people, especially on people on the right from from your country, America. Where now I see people like Laura Loomer is calling everybody a Nazi. It's calling everybody a fascist and all these things. And these are people who they agree a lot on stuff, but they just don't agree on foreign policy. Somehow you are a Nazi. Why do you think that is growing, especially right now, which I think is probably dividing MAGA base right now, where everybody now is like, now I'll say a little bit of a infighting going on. Why do you think now a lot of you guys are starting to smear and slander and trying to cancel culture, basically, cancel yourselves, each other?
Because Israel is the sacred cow of Ben Shapiro, of Laura Loomer, of Mark Levin, of Ted Cruz, of the Daily Wire. If you criticize Israel, or you oppose the state of Israel, however you want to put that, they don't care about all the many other things you might agree on. They want to destroy you based upon that one thing. It's the sacred cow, and it tells you where their loyalties lie. Their loyalties are not with America. You are loyal to Israel. Don't even try to argue it at this point. And I said that in my video response to Ben, and he's not even going to say that's not true. Of course, Ben Shapiro is on video in front of an entire crowd saying the number one thing that guarantees my loyalty to the United States of America is America's support for Israel. It doesn't get more blatant than that. It doesn't get more black and white then that statement right there. Ben Shapiro's loyalties are to Israel first, America second, but really I would say last, because what benefits Israel almost every single time is to the detriment of America. So
But
we're not gonna take that anymore. That's why they attack us so much, because they care more about a foreign country in the Middle East than they do the United States of America.
yeah, why do you think that is? Because when I see, you see, when because I see that increasing here in the UK as well, where I see a lot of foreign flags as well. Maybe that could be Palestinian flag, or maybe that could be also obviously Israeli flag. Maybe now it could be Iranian flag, or maybe it could be some Congolese flag. It could be Mauritius, Chego Island. They're crying for reparation. They're carrying their flag. So almost every single person has this flag, and most of it is always like foreign flag. But then they consider themselves patriots. To what land exactly, if you are carrying two flags at the same time, and most of the time you're carrying one, which is a foreign land? I mean, so do the Americans consider these guys who are pro-Israeli? I mean, I don't have any problem with somebody having favoring Israel over America. I mean, that's their decision. But do you guys consider them patriots still?
I don't, not at all. If I was loyal, because I told you earlier, I'm ethnically English, Scottish, and Irish. If my loyalty was to England over America, I'd be a traitor. It's really
Yeah,
that simple. It doesn't matter
rightfully so.
what your ethnic background is. It can be Israel, it can be Palestine, it can be English like me, it could be Polish. If your loyalty is to wherever your ethnic homeland is, or with wherever you immigrated from and not the country you're currently residing in, then you at the very least have dual loyalty. Or in the case of Ben Shapiro, I would say you are fully loyal. You have 100% loyalty to Israel. And, the reason for that, look, people, like I told you earlier, I've been to the UK. I have affinity for the UK. That's where my ancestors came from. So I love that nation. So I can understand why Ben Shapiro would have affinity for Israel. That's what he calls his ethnic homeland, right? That's fine. That's how human beings operate. But your loyalty can only be to the country you claim to fight for and represent. I love the UK, but I don't have loyalty to the UK in comparison to America. There's just no question. Like, America's my homeland. My ancestors have been here for hundreds of years. My ancestors have been in the state of Texas alone for hundreds of years. Never mind when they immigrated from Virginia and New England to come down to Texas. So it's it's no question for me where my priorities lie. It's in the homeland and the place I was raised. My parents were raised. My grandparents were raised. The United States of America. That's the country I love. That's the land that I love, and I'm proud to call home. Ben Shapiro, you can't say the same. He can say that I love America just as much. No, no, you don't. Your loyalty to America is dependent upon whether America serves in Israel's interests or not. So, um, we're just done with the lies. You
Yeah.
can be, you don't have to be, ethnically English or something to love America. You don't have to be what people call the heritage American stock to love America and be loyal to America. You can be from outside of that, but if your loyalty still lies in wherever your ethnic homeland is and it's not our country, then you're a traitor and you cannot be considered a patriot.
Yeah, but it seems like that doesn't apply to Israel. It seems like that only applies to the Muslims, to the Palestinians, to the lefties who are carrying a foreign flag. When I see a Pakistani, because now we have an issue here where every single time when it's Pakistani independence, you just know there's gonna be a lot of chaos in whatever area they're in. Uh, so there's gonna be a lot of foreign flag. There's gonna be partying, music loud. The roads will be blocked. They'll tint the cars will be Pakistani flags, and they will drive it around. Noise, noise, noise. Right, and that's normal now. That's we can. It's actually documented that it happens every year now. And every time we see that, a lot of people on the right are like, "What the fuck? What's going on?" But then we are also okay when it's to do with, uh, uh, you know, when it's to do with Israel, maybe now when if it's to do with Iran, which obviously I'm in support of Iranian people fighting over there. Okay, get your country back. But having foreign flag in this land, apart from having it in your embassy, okay, I don't have problem with because that's a little territory that you've gained in the country. Apart from that, it should be Britain flag everywhere. Yeah, so I mean, we don't want to. I don't want to dive deep into this story because obviously it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and you can tell there's a division where they draw the line, who's allowed and who's not, and there's a lot of hypocrisy. If why can't a Palestinian kid carry the Palestinian flag every day if this other person is allowed? So you're gonna have to drop there. Now let's talk about what's going on today. This time, your President Donald Trump has obviously waiting in on what's going on in Iran, and he has mentioned that he's going to be engaged. He said help is coming. I'm coming to save you. He told the protesters to keep protesting. Right now there's over 12,000 people who have been confirmed dead from a lot of different reports. That's a lot of people dead. Trump said if they shoot anyone, Trump is going to come in and help. Well, he told Iran not to shoot anyone, and obviously Iran did not listen. They shot over 12,000 people who have been confirmed dead. And then yesterday he said, don't hang anyone. And I think today Iran is about to do public hanging. So it looks like Iran don't give a fuck. And now, according to Reuters, they just come out saying Iran is preparing to strike America first. So they're not waiting for America to strike. Now they're going to do a preemptive strike. Now that's another foreign conflict that you guys have got yourself into. Could you tell me what you think about that? Are you in support? And if you are, why? If not, explain to me. I mean, you don't have to, but obviously we're in this podcast where we got to do a lot of explaining of what we believe in and why. So if you can walk through with me why that is.
Absolutely. So I do not support intervention in Iran at all. And the number one reason for that is because toppling the Iranian regime, which I don't like, Khomeini, or however you say his name, I don't like Muslim ayatollahs. Okay, that doesn't sound good to me. I certainly wouldn't want that in my country. But the Ayatollah and the Iranian regime is really the last bastion of opposition to Israel in the region. And the reason that's important is because an Israel that can act with impunity is a dangerous regime. That is a regime that truly could affect the world on a global scale that I don't think people really understand. This is a state that has a nuclear final option written out and delineated called the Samson option, which is, if you know the Bible, what did Samson do? Right.
Yeah.
Samson, given this great strength from God,
Very powerful.
He supported God, fought for God, very powerful, but he sinned against God when he allowed a woman to cut his hair. So God punishes him, but in a moment of redemption, God gives him the option of wiping out the enemy leaders who were fighting against Israel, fighting against God. And what did Samson do? He breaks down the walls of the temple, of the building that they were inside. So Samson breaks down the walls, and it kills him in the process. But he takes out all the opposition in one fell swoop because they were all inside the building, and it collapses. How is that relevant to what Israel calls the Samson option? Well, Israel's Samson option, because they have nukes, which they are the only country that has not signed up to the United Nations ICBM. I believe that that's the acronym, but the United Nations nuclear treaty,
nuclear proliferation, and the IAA. I don't know how they got it, but very slippery, I guess. Just like Pakistan.
Yes. Well, they got it through the Soviet Union. So the Soviet Union, we had traitors in America, communists, who snuck out. And I also believe it was South Africa. I believe it was the Soviet Union in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken.
So South Africa was building one for themselves, and of course they got
Mhm.
pressured, and they sold their parts to Israel. Then Israel built its
Yeah,
own, and then South Africa
yeah,
doesn't have anything, and Israel has something.
yeah.
And also,
Well,
if you look into it,
regardless,
yeah, it's crazy how South Africa got there. It's, I don't know. It links into Peter Thiel and all these things. His dad was a part of trying to build a nuke and stuff. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy when you look into it. But yeah, let's talk about it.
yes. So
So why are you
Israel has
against?
nukes. They're the only country. Yeah, I'll get to there. So they're the only country that that has nukes and doesn't sign up to the nuclear proliferation
Yeah.
treaty that I'm aware of. Right. It's certainly the only one that calls itself Western and does not. They have the Samson option. I explained Samson from the Bible. What it means is if they are under what they believe is an existential threat, they will just nuke everybody. They will nuke everybody. They will take everyone down with them. They believe if Israel falls because of their religious beliefs and what you could call also their ethnic tribalism, they believe that Israel falling is like the end of the world, and that's non-negotiable, cannot happen under any circumstances. So they're going to nuke everyone else if Israel is under existential threat. So this is a country that, if they are given regional hegemonic control over the Middle East and North Africa and that area of the world, they are going to act with impunity. And they have already shown that when it comes to Gaza, when it comes to Lebanon, when it comes to Syria, when it comes to Iran, all these other countries, Egypt, they are willing to do whatever it takes if it serves Israeli interests. This is not a country that should be able to act with impunity over the region. And without Iran, there's no counterbalance. There's no counterweight to Israeli power. And the Middle East is extremely important for many
So
different reasons. So much trade flows through that corridor of the world, and also extremely rich, not Israel itself, but the Middle East, extremely rich in oil resources and other valuable minerals and
so
resources as well.
one might argue that
Go
what's the
ahead.
problem? Because obviously everybody has their sort of deterrent. So let me just walk you through this. I'm not sure, but Russia has a deterrent where it is called a dead hand. A dead hand is when they have a deterrent where if America was to launch a nuke, the Russian nukes will be launched automatically. It doesn't matter if Putin was to let's say Russia was to be wiped out, their nuke will still be fired. That's why it's called a dead hand, meaning everybody's gonna die. You kill us, it's like one of those snake where you chop off the head, but the tail will still bite you. I don't know if you know what that snake is. The Chinese is common in the Chinese,
Yeah.
forest. So they have the dead hand. Pakistan has also is deterrent where it's like if they feel threatened, everybody is dead. So if you was to try threaten Pakistan with some sort of like, hey, we're gonna take this away from you, hey, we're gonna do this, Pakistan has a deterrent where everyone, their nuke, they got like, I know they say they got 782, but I'm sure they probably have like 300 nuke. So,
Yeah, well, I don't
so,
support that either. I don't support regimes that
so
we can't control. I believe in the West. I believe in Western civilization. I'm an opponent of China and Russia, and
so you
maybe
see,
less so Russia. But
it's just I'm trying to walk you through it. So Pakistan has a deterrent, India has a deterrent, but India's deterrent is very soft. It's more like if you hit us, we're gonna hit you. But if somebody hits you so hard, you won't be able to hit them back. So it's that kind of like okay. US has a deterrent, as we already know. They have nuclear weapons almost everywhere around the world. They even have nuclear weapons in Britain, where if we try to fuck up with them, they can literally tell us to shut up. So US has sort of deterrence where they have everywhere. Their eyes is everywhere. They sell weapons to probably every single. They sell weapons to 130 something countries in the world. They sell weapons to, and they have bases in almost every country. And if they don't have bases there, they go on top of regime, and next minute they have bases there. Soon they're gonna have it in Venezuela. So now you guys have your thing. Now Israel has his. Obviously now you just you just taught me this. They got this Samsung option where obviously as it says here, where they want to they can destroy everyone. Of course that's linked with the American foreign policy as well, where they can destroy everyone. Same thing. So almost every country that has nuke, or any country that has something to protect, they also have a ultimatum where hey, if you do this, we're gonna kill everybody. So what makes it different for Israel then? Because if everybody has it, then I'm sure Israel can have it as well. I know it's harsh. I know it's like, why do they need to kill everybody if they feel threatened? Because I mean, I don't like it too when Pakistan says, hey, we're gonna kill everybody if we feel threatened. I don't like it when US tries to say it as well. Same thing as Russia, because I'm like, hey, bro, what the fuck? I'm not in it. If you're gonna kill yourself, when India and Pakistan were fighting, and I'm thinking, man, what if this escalated? Then we start having to, maybe then my baby that I give birth to the next 10 years now is born without an arm because the fucking the whole earth is vaporized with this nuclear chemical type of stuff that we're gonna be inhaling. So that's a problem. So why is there a problem if Israel has it? Because I think if everybody's doing it, then they should do it as well. If they wanna nuke everybody, I mean, go ahead, right? Because everybody's saying they're gonna nuke everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I would say, first of all, I'm an America First nationalist. So what does that mean? Some people, they would describe themselves like I am a conservative. I have conservative beliefs, but I'm not a libertarian. I'm not a non-interventionist. I'm not ideologically captured by these groupings that restrict me to, I have to oppose this type of action at all times, or I have to support this type of action at all times. No, I just do whatever is in benefit of my country. That's it. So my country, right? If we were under attack, I don't support for 1 second nuking the whole world. Like, that's insane.
Hey,
But whoever's attacking us, if they're
your
shooting
country is
nukes,
the
if
first one
Russia's
to.
shooting nukes at us, then you gotta fire back at Russia. But
Yeah,
you
of course.
restrict it to them. So I think there's a huge difference between, like, if one country attacks us, then we're going to annihilate the human race, versus if one country attacks us, we're going to take out that country. Huge difference there.
Yeah.
And the Samson option, that is what is delineated, that they are just going to take everybody out, take us all down with them. Right. So that's that. And you said Pakistan has the same policy. I don't support Pakistan, right? I certainly would not
the hypocrisy is
support that.
basically, so here's the problem, right? So of course I'm in support of, the Western Hemisphere. I'm in support of, obviously, having the West to dominate in a sense where it's still balanced, but not to dominate to the point where they can just do whatever they want. They need some balance as well, where they need to fear Putin too. They need to fear Xi Jinping. They need to fear Kim Jong-un too. So I think that's a perfect balance. I don't want it to be to the point where it's like, whoa, they can do anything. That's crazy, because it only takes one leader to fuck everything up. But one could make an argument that your country, the United States, has been the one that's been causing a lot of conflict, meaning they are everywhere. They are starting new wars. They are involved in any problem in the world. There's always a little bit to do with CIA, with regime change in the past that led to one leader. Like Syria, look at Syria. Look at the leader in Syria. Oh, he was a terrorist before. Who put him there? Joe Biden's like, what the fuck? It is always Saddam Hussein. Who got Saddam Hussein the weapons of so-called mass destruction? Was US who gave him the weapons so they can fight Iran in the Gulf War. So we said, you guys sent him the weapons. Then later on you said, hey, he has weapons. We need to go to war with him. Then you went and find nothing. So it's like, it's insane. Then we see Hamas. Who created Hamas? Israel. Who let Hamas to rise into power? Israel. Who sent money to Hamas? Is Israel. But then they wanted to have someone who they can fight endlessly. And then that's been proven. There's documents around it. Checking the election in Gaza. You can see who was funding Hamas through Egypt was Israel. Who was funding Hamas from, through Qatar was Israel. So there's always like, hey, we want to do this. So, but your country has been contributing to a lot of wars, I would say, in a sense. And your country has been the first country in the world to drop a nuke on another country. So I would say the world should be scared of you guys more than Israel. You know what I mean? Because Israel hasn't dropped a nuke on anyone. And I'm not pro-Israeli. I'm not pro. I'm can be biased with the Americans. I like the Americans' way of living, you know. But I'm not pro-Israeli. But there's a lot of hypocrisy when you hear Americans say, "Hey, we don't want this," but you've done this and this and this, and now you are going to bomb Iran soon, and then you're scared that Israel is dragging you to war. Man, you guys like war. You want war. Look at your budget. It's rising every single day. The military department, you guys are trying. Well, now it's 900 billion. You want to raise it to 1.5 trillion.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you guys love war. You got Mark Levin saying, "I've not slept well." We haven't bombed Iran. So you guys want war. So talk to me, bro.
So there's a difference between supporting my country and then supporting every single action my government has taken, right? So when you're talking about all these foreign wars that we've done, all of these, and sometimes these regime changes that have happened, some could argue, not in the Middle East, that has not benefited us, but some of these CIA type regime changes, especially in South America, that they did during the 20th century, where they benefited America. You could argue that, but these wars, what many call endless foreign wars in the Middle East, have been to the detriment of Americans, right? They
Yeah,
defrauded Americans, they stole our resources, and they destroyed our reputation on the global stage because they were ultimately failures, all of them, right? Afghanistan, utter failure. We fled under Biden, and the Taliban is right back taking over. Um,
exactly.
Iraq, Iraq now hotbed of terrorism, right? You take out Saddam Hussein, who we first supported, then decided no, he actually is bad for Israel. He's becoming too powerful. He's a counterweight to Israel in the Middle East, so we need to take him out. Took him out. Now Iraq is basically a failed state. There's not really a central government, and it's a hotbed for terrorism. And you can go on and all of these Middle Eastern and North African
Yeah,
conflicts,
that's
specifically
right.
like in Libya with Gaddafi.
Gaddafi.
It was a disaster.
Yeah,
Libya
look,
was a pretty successful country in comparison to the rest of North Africa.
that's right.
Now it's like they have
They
slaves
have
being
slaves. Yeah,
sold in open slave auctions in
yeah. If
Libya.
you have
So
£100, bro, you can get yourself a good slave. No, I mean in a good bro. It's happening. It's we can actually
yeah.
say it now. You can get yourself a good slave if you go there with $100. That's how poor they are now,
Mhm.
and they were rich before. They wanted to compete with the dollar. They wanted to have their currency backed by gold. Of course, obviously, your money printing machine didn't like that, so you guys wanted
Yeah.
to chop him off.
Yeah. So it was, some people will go back and forth on whether it was actually because he wanted to create a gold-backed Central African dollar or not. Which, I mean, I wouldn't immediately dismiss that either. Like that could be one of the reasonings for doing so. But at the end of the day, the reason that I oppose those interventions that have happened in about the past 30 years is because they always were to our detriment. They never supported the American people. They always made it worse for us. We
Hmm.
spent literally trillions of dollars on these wars since the Bush administration. We've spent trillions of dollars on these foreign wars in the Middle East, and they've never benefited us. And if that money had been spent, even a fraction, just half, let's say half of that money had been spent on infrastructure in the United States, transportation, our healthcare industry. There's so many different things you could list out.
Mm.
The American people would be infinitely better off. Instead, our dollar has dramatically dropped in value. Our reputation on the global stage. One of the reasons why people no longer like and support, especially what we would call in the third world, people no longer like and support America is because of these regime change wars in the Middle East that every single time it made those countries worse.
Yeah.
Like, right, I believe I was talking about earlier how I'm an America First nationalist. So I'm not ideologically captured to like non-interventionism. Like I'll never support any type of action outside of America. I don't say that, right? But I believe in it is the American empire. We are an empire. We've got bases in
Yeah,
every
I
single
mean,
continent, in like the majority of countries in the world, right? So it's an empire. I support our empire. What does that mean? Like I believe that we are capable of essentially anything. Like when I think of America, I think of reaching the stars, of landing on the moon, whether we did that or not, right? The
Yeah.
International Space Station, circumnavigation around the globe. I believe in America. I believe in endless possibilities for our nation. So what does that mean? I believe Venezuela, we take out Maduro. That means that we have the power to direct their country in a positive direction that benefits their people, that makes their nation more prosperous, that's actually good for the Venezuelan people. I 100% believe that America can
But
do that. It
yeah,
benefits the American people, and we can also benefit them. We don't have to take over,
but
a
but
country
look,
in South America and destroy their nation.
I mean, that's what's gonna happen. What else do you think is gonna happen? Look at all the regime change that you guys have made in the past. So you mentioned, so every single time when America goes on top of another country for being natural resource or being more influence or being whatever it could be, no American citizen, no a regular guy benefits from it. So Maduro has been toppled. Now you got almost 7 trillion worth of oil under there. Tell me how a normal American will benefit from that, and how a normal Venezuelan will benefit from that. Because look at Libya. Well, no Libyans benefiting. Look at Iraq. None of them are benefiting. Look at Syria. Are they benefiting? No. So we can go on and go on and go on. All these countries you guys have toppled. So you do make a lot of sense when you say you oppose the foreign intervention and foreign stuff. But every time when there's an argument for it, it never really works. But you are happy with Maduro being captured. Why? How will that benefit you, and how will that benefit Venezuela?
Absolutely. The history of the world is a struggle of empires. That's just what world history is. Mankind has always built kingdoms and then opposed the other kingdoms that rivaled it. That's just how the world works. This idea that if America does nothing on the global stage and leaves every other country alone, then everyone's going to live in peace and harmony, and every country is going to retain their national sovereignty, and no one's ever going to be affected or be taken over. It's just not true. What you've seen in the past 30 years is as America has receded from South America, China has taken over.
Right.
And if you look at global trade, in the 1990s, America dominated the globe, right? We were the number one trading partner for in comparison to China across the globe, over the entire South America region, the entire
But
Western
why
Hemisphere, and the
was that?
majority of the other hemisphere.
No, why do you think that was?
Back then, we had a industrialist policy that created things in America. We actually manufactured and built things that we could ship out and export to the rest of the world. And globalists sold out our nation because they wanted to have profits for multinational corporations that don't benefit and support the American people, so they can manufacture things in China and other East Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries, for pennies on the dollar, using essentially slave labor,
Yeah, for sure.
and
Yeah,
rip manufacturing out of America. So that's why we lost our
but that's
trade
capitalism, though.
dominance across the globe. No, well, I don't. That's crony capitalism, and I don't support it. I'm not a. I'm
Bro,
not
you can't
a.
shape everything how you like it, bro. You can't
Yeah,
shape it how you like
I
it.
feel like we can.
I mean, that's what Elon Musk is doing right now. Why do you think Elon Musk never challenged China? He's able to call us authoritarian. He's able to challenge the EU. He's able to challenge, he's able to challenge our leader, Keir Starmer, but he never challenged Beijing. Why do you think that is?
Well, he probably wants to sell a lot of Teslas in China. They have a centralized government that's very powerful that can take
No,
over
because
private
that's what his
companies in
cars is
their own
made
country.
from. His cars are made from there. He's able, of course, these are capitalist, this is a capitalist. He's living in a capitalist society, so of course he's gonna challenge anyone who doesn't benefit him. Apart from, they can't really ban Tesla because of course US will send tariff on them, and that's gonna hurt them more than them trying to attack a normal individual. But he can not go against China. Even China does crazy stuff. you can never go against them because that's where his cars are built. That's where most of his cars are come from. You know, that's where all this stuff, not all, but obviously where Tesla basically gained his popularity and also birth from, I have to say. So that's capitalism right there. So when you guys opened up the, you know, after the world trading, I think that's what it's called, I think you guys opened it up where every single country can come, and then China joined in 2001, and ever since then you guys basically sent every factory you had to Beijing, and you said, hey, you guys built it, and China became freaking rich. Within 20 years, they built more. Now they have stuff that United States is looking and thinking, hey, how the heck did they build that? Because now you guys have been giving them billions and trillions and billions of dollars every single year. But then again, for you to say, oh, that's not bad, that's not good, well, you got to take the fight to Elon Musk, because, you know, he says that's not good, but he's also doing it.
Well, I don't support monopolism. I don't support corporatism, and that's what this is. This is multinational corporations who don't have the American people's interest at heart. They just want to serve themselves in their pocketbooks. And again, I'll go back. That's not an America First nationalist position. Supporting what I would call crony capitalism is not America First. We are a capitalist country, but the argument's funny. It's like if you were to take government action and bring manufacturing back, right? The tariff policy that Trump has, which if it was implemented differently, I would support. These actions by the federal government to fight for and protect the American economy, those are good, and they're not anti-capitalist. But people say that America in 1985 was less capitalist than it is now. No, you would just say that it's more corporatist now. It's more monopolist now. Amazon, Apple, these huge companies dominate our market and our sector. If the AI bubble goes down at all, the stock market crashes, right? So we're dependent on the Fortune 500 companies to just keep our economy afloat. This is not capitalism. Capitalism thrives on competition, right? But when a very small number of companies are dominating the market, that's not competition, that's monopolism. So I'll go back to the conversation. The reason I support intervention in South America, not war, do not support war in South America, but I support an intervention like the one that captured Maduro, is because we are in a battle of empires, and it is America versus China, and China's trying to become buddy-buddy with Russia, so maybe you can group those two together, but Russia is not much of a threat without China. It is a empire fighting against another empire for global dominance. And in our southern hemisphere, we have the Monroe Doctrine, which was created in the early 1800s by James Monroe, our fifth president, which states that this is our hemisphere. And it was, at the time, our threat was the European countries, right? And they still had lots of territory in South America. So at the time, we didn't even have the ability to project power over the entire hemisphere. The point that James Monroe was making is that we are going to reach there. He could see the future. He could see how America was going to dominate. We're going to get to a point where we will be able to project power in this entire hemisphere, and we are not going to allow the European countries to dominate our neighbors to the south. And because it's like a launch pad, right? If whether it was France or the UK or Spain in the 1800s, if they were able to take over Mexico or take over Brazil or take over Argentina, it's a launch pad straight to America. One of our greatest defenses in America is the oceans that surround us, the Atlantic and the Pacific. The European countries, China, Russia, India, they can't directly attack us unless they travel by ship or by plane, and it makes it much more difficult to wage war against America. That's one of our greatest assets. But if these foreign countries take root in South America, then they have a direct launch pad to attack us from. So that's what the Monroe Doctrine is we're going to control this hemisphere so that we're protected not just by our west and east, the Pacific and the Atlantic, but we're also going to be protected to the south by controlling the southern hemisphere. The Western Hemisphere and South America. So that's why I support taking out a communist dictator like Maduro, who allied his country with China. He was allowing China to move their assets into Venezuela, Russia as well. So
obviously that's his country.
That doesn't benefit America.
Yeah, but
the point is that I don't care.
That's kind of
That
the point. Is that
so
you
why
know
why
I
do you,
don't want to do bad things to people, but I support to a certain extent, without question, in the entire Western Hemisphere, I support American dominance.
so do you also support that Russia should take Ukraine full on, not just Crimea? Because that's obviously that's
Well,
Russia is the most powerful one in Europe. Should Russia take Poland as well, Lithuania, maybe Sweden as well, maybe France? Put them in. Actually, fuck it, get Britain as well. Do you support Putin to go all the way in? Take no, take
absolutely,
Ireland too.
absolutely not. But
Why?
again, and this is
That's
why
you.
my position and my beliefs are so powerful, is because I'm not a non-interventionist. I'm not a neoconservative to where I support all intervention, or an isolationist where I support no intervention. I'm an America first nationalist. So whenever it
So
benefits America, I support that. So let me get to your
I mean,
point
that's
with
so
people
much
across this
hypocrisy,
country.
bro. That's so
No,
much
it's not.
hypocrisy.
It's just if it
So
supports my
so
nation. So if you
all
are
right,
a
all right.
Russian,
So
just give
you
me
can
one second.
take.
Give me one second.
All right, go on.
If you're a Russian nationalist, of course you support taking over Ukraine. Why would a Russian nationalist not support that? They do. But I'm an
God.
American nationalist, so I don't support them taking over Ukraine, because that doesn't help America. That's bad for
How?
America. It's
That's
bad because
nothing.
we are.
That's nothing to do with your neighbors. They're not your neighbors. You guys, apparently, you guys, obviously, especially if you are trying to get this Monroe stuff, Monroe, doctrine. That's you guys. You got your hemisphere there, and Putin has his hemisphere here. You can go all the way back. You can go to Greece, capture everything. Create the Soviet Union again. I mean, that was his. That's his hemisphere, I should say. Maybe China should be like, hey, we're gonna take our island back, put Taiwan, and then take over Nvidia, and then own everything. And maybe China might be thinking, fuck that, we want to take Nepal. They got Tibetans. We're gonna take, everything. We're gonna take all this stuff. Do what, do what? What's the other guy who, Mongolian Empire did? Take everything.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also expect freaking in Africa? Do you expect what is the powerful country? South Africa to be like, all right, we're gonna take everyone. We're gonna take Somalia. so
Well, look again.
do you expect?
It's in
Do you,
their interest.
oh, so is it? So you are against? I'm trying to understand you, because there's a lot of hypocrisy here. You are against Israel
It's not.
trying.
It's not
No, no, no,
hypocritical.
no, no, no.
Though.
Wait. You are against Israel in gaining the dominance in the Middle East. You are against that, right?
Yeah,
But you are also.
because it's bad for America. That's why. Again, you're saying it's hypocritical, but the point is that I support whatever benefits America. That's the point. I'm not ideologically captured. It's not like, well, I'm holding my nation to this standard, and every other nation I'm holding to the exact same standard. No, I'm not. I'm an
I get it.
America
I get
first
it.
nationalist.
I
So
get it.
when something supports America, that's what I back. And the argument for me and other people, other Americans typically, is going to be what type of action, what type of policy supports America. That's what I stand on. That's my argument. My argument's not like, well, if Russia takes Ukraine, is that like hypocritical of me to then say it's like okay to topple Maduro? No, I'm an American nationalist, so toppling Maduro helps me and benefits me. Russia, if you're a Russian nationalist, then you don't want Zelensky allying with NATO and allying with the West. So if you're a
All right.
Russian
Let me just
nationalist, then you want them to take them over.
let me just pose a
But I'm not
question.
a Russian nationalist,
All
so
right.
I
All right.
don't. I don't look.
Let me just pose a question here. Okay, what if Putin comes out and he addressed the nation? He's like, hey guys, we've changed the plan. We don't want this tiny little island. We're gonna build the Soviet Union again, bigger than ever. We're gonna include Britain in it as well. We're gonna go that far. What will America do?
Gosh, dude. I would
What,
not
launch
be
a
in
nuke?
support of that. So no, no, no. It's not time to.
I mean,
No,
it's an attack on a
I don't
NATO
think.
ally, right?
Well, I think our obligations in NATO are to fight and defend. I don't think it's to nuke. So I think those are two separate things.
I mean, given how you guys, your president always has his finger on the button and he says his button works. So I'm not sure. Maybe you might press it accidentally. Because one time you guys have pressed it before, and given what you guys did to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it's crazy. So I would not be surprised. But I still support you guys. But let's change into something else. Let's go deep into Iran. Okay, Iran has come out full on. I want to actually, I want to get my my viewers to understand this. So Iran has come out and said, we're gonna attack. We're gonna launch something before they launch something at us, and they said they're ready for war. And given they also have the public support too. There's a lot of people who are against Iran, the regime in Iran. There's a lot of people who are protesting against the regime, and there's a lot of people who support the regime too. You have to also say, we have to also acknowledge that given what they did, I don't know, I think it was last Monday when they said go protest for us, and hundreds of people turned up pro-regime. So you can tell there's a lot of people who who support that, and those guys will be ready to fight for it. And that shows for them it's justified to keep on fighting, because they know that there's people in a country who support them. And they just said that they're gonna launch something at you guys before you guys launch something at them. Are you in support of going to war with Iran?
I'm not in support of going to war with Iran.
Why? Why does it not benefit you guys?
So this statement you're talking about, it was put out by the Iranian government, or is this like an intelligence report from Israel saying
No.
Iran's going to bomb America first?
No, this was reported by your media, the Reuters, sorry.
Yeah, well,
I mean, let's put it.
Our media is pretty corrupt as well. I don't see how it would benefit Iran at all. Oop, my light went out.
No, it's
Let me
okay.
see if I can turn this back on.
It's fine. Take your time.
Okay,
I mean, it's been on for a
Let me
while.
turn on this overhead.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, I know. I don't think. Here we go. Yeah. So let's see. Is my camera really blurry for you as well?
Yeah, but it dropped like 2-3 minutes ago.
Okay.
All right, there he is.
I think it's okay now, right?
Yeah, so there he is. It says UK and US withdraw. Oh God, we always get dragged into this, man. But anyways, I guess whatever America says, we always do it. Latest breaking news, Sky News: UK and US withdraw military bases personnel from Qatar as Trump and Iran exchange threats. Trump says, hey, if you hang somebody, we're gonna come for you. And today, Iran is due to publicly hang people. Like, you can't make this up. Trump says, hey, if you kill someone, if you shoot a protester, we're gonna come for you. Iran kills more than 12,000 protesters. And then Trump made a threat yesterday saying, hey, if you hang someone, we're going to come for you. Today, Iran is about to publicly hang people.
Mm.
And if you're saying, and you're telling me, oh, you don't know how serious they are. Bro, how serious you going to be? So, are you in favor of going to war with Iran? Because that's basically what's going on. That's basically what's going to happen. Why?
Well, every single Middle Eastern war has been a disaster for us, and it's been to the benefit of Israel. That's why I say it's very different. Taking out, there's a big difference. Again, we didn't even take out all of Maduro's government, right? So there's a very big difference between our operation in Venezuela versus a war with Iran, where we have to take out the entire Islamic Republic, because that's what you have to do in order to take out.
Because you have to know.
They've got this is not a small country. It's got, what, 90 million people, I believe. This is not a small country. 92 million people live in Iraq.
Is Iraq 3 times?
No, this is very different.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's Syria 2 times.
Exactly. Right. So in order to topple Iran, this is a enormous military investment. Like, this is, you have to truly put boots on the ground to have an actual regime change in Iran. Like, you're not just going to kill the Ayatollah and then everything changes, the government's completely new, and
you have some sort of modern secular government in Iran. No, you have to commit boots on the ground and serious strategic action against the military, against the government, against the IRGC. Is going to require a serious commitment. So this is going to be a years-long type of action. I think it's much better to use economic policy threats, trade wars in order to sanctions to move and direct the Iranian regime the way we want them to go. But I want them to remain there to be a counterbalance to Israel. I don't believe giving Israel hegemonic control over the Middle East is going to be to our benefit at all.
That's their hemisphere.
Again, I keep going back to this. I'm only concerned with what benefits America. So if you're an Israeli patriot, then you would want that.
No. So you're saying having Ayatollah in there benefits America?
Yeah.
So you're saying the people who piss on your flag, the people who chant death to America every single time when they wake up, the people who literally showcase their weapons and write the name of your president, whatever they do with it, is best to have them on?
Yeah, well, why do they hate us?
Why? I don't know. Why do they hate you guys?
Israel. Because we support Israel, and we've taken out all their neighbors on the behalf of Israel. That's why they hate us. They don't hate us because this idea that Iran and all these Muslims in the Middle East, they just hate us because we're so free. We're just so free. That's why all the Muslims hate us. No, they hate us because of our intervention on behalf of Israel in the Middle East. That's why they hate the UK. That's why they hate America. It's because we've taken out all their Islamic neighbors on behalf of Israel to protect Israel, give them strategic control of the area, and topple every regime that opposes them. That's why they hate us. So
you really think is that the reason why you actually think they hate you guys?
100%. 100%.
So you don't remember the Iran-Iraq war when you guys chose to support Iraq to kill basically, Iranians? You don't remember that?
Do you know why we would have chosen Iraq over Iran?
Why?
Because Saddam Hussein was a relatively secular leader. Iran was much more, we'll say, radical Islamist. The Iranian Revolution had already happened. It had already occurred. So the current Iranian regime was in power at that time. And the Israeli people have always viewed the Israeli government has always viewed Iran as the greater threat versus Iraq. Like we said earlier, the Iranian population is much larger. It's a much more powerful government. Iraq was relatively secular under Saddam Hussein, so they viewed Saddam as less of a threat to Iran. That's why we supported Saddam in opposition to Iran.
And then you guys lost. So basically you guys launched a proxy war with Iran and you guys lost. That's basically what it is.
Essentially. I mean, they didn't win. You could say they lost.
Yeah, they win because you guys
did. The Iranians that toppled Saddam. It was us. So
not really, because the war for Saddam Hussein, his mission was to grow and take territory and take control of the port. That was the biggest port in the Middle East right now. You can see it. Not the biggest, but it's one of the biggest. They share it with Iran. He wanted to capture that, and he wanted to also extend his country, make it bigger. And he wanted to show Saudi Arabia and other Western, Arab country that he's also powerful. And you guys supported him, and he lost. So you guys got beat by Iran. That's basically what it is. Because you sent him weapons.
In that conflict, we didn't. We sent them aid, but it's
no, it wasn't aid. It wasn't
Russia,
aid.
Ukraine.
You sent him weapons.
Yeah, weapons. I mean, when I say aid, I mean
no, aid. No, but aid is different than weapons, though. It's like saying.
Okay, well, I mean, it's kind of semantics. I mean,
no, I know.
We aided them militarily. Okay.
Yeah.
You could say that instead.
So there's a lot of reason why. It's not just because of Israel why Iran hates you guys. Iran hates you guys probably because you guys toppled the Shah in 1940s. Why? Because you guys fear that he had influence with Hitler in 1941. Then you guys toppled Mohammed Mossadegh in 1951. Then you guys toppled Mohammed Mossadegh again. Sorry, you guys put Mohammed Mossadegh in 1951. Then you guys toppled Mohammed Mossadegh in 1953. And then you guys helped the Ruhollah Khomeini from France in 1979. So all these destruction that you guys made for them, and you guys picked a side back and forth. Maybe that's the reason why they hate you. It's not just purely because of Israel. Bro, can you hear me? I think you're frozen. Yeah, it's frozen. Let's wait for him to reconnect. I mean, this live has been going on for long. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. So, I can't hear you, bro. Oh, there was a sound that came through. Try again. Let's wrap up the next 20 minutes. Let's wrap up. The sound came through, then it went. I still can't hear you. Yes, boss. Oh, good. Say something. Still can't hear you. I think your mic is muted. There's nothing coming through at all. Was you using your AirPods before? So let's see. Well, the chat just said we got time. Hope so. Oh, say something.
Check. Okay.
Yeah, check. I can hear you now. All right, now it sounds sweet.
All right. Sorry about that, man.
Nah, it's all right, bro. We'll wrap up very soon. I think let's get into something more soft.
Okay.
I think the chat here is they're bugging out, but they appreciate your time. and they appreciate the balance of the chart. Because you see, the reason why I'm trying to balance the thing, I'm not trying to go all in, anti-Israel type, or all in, critical with Israel. I want to like balance it out, because Israel has the nuke. I don't think they should have it, but also Pakistan has the nuke. So I'm like, all right, okay, makes sense, Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un, they have the nuke. I don't think they should have it, but then Putin has it and US has it. I'm thinking, okay, maybe. Then France has it. I'm thinking, fuck, Macron is in charge of that. So I'm thinking, all right, there's a balance. And also I want to balance everything out. But let's move into something more soft. It looks like you guys have a lot of power. You guys can capture leaders while they sleep. Very powerful. But it looks like also you guys can't stop the little fraud that's been going on in your country, meaning the daycare, the booming business. It is in demand right now, where the Somalis can go in, set up businesses, and become, I don't know, maybe go from 0 to 30 million net worth. I'm talking about Elon Omar. Talk to me more about that, and why you guys have not gone ahead to prosecute these guys or do anything about it.
So in the United States of America, the president and the executive branch can basically take unilateral action when it comes to foreign policy. But when it comes to domestic policy, they are shut down by the courts and the legislature every single time. It tells you where the priorities lie of what people call the deep state, our permanent bureaucratic class in America, if you want to say that. They don't want to save our country internally, but they want to project our empire's power everywhere else. So essentially, these people, they hate our country, but they love the strength that it can project.
Okay.
So they don't want to benefit the American people, but they do want to control what other countries do. So that's why Trump.
Then maybe that's why we'll create. Maybe that's why you guys will create a lot of division in the land, because one might make an argument saying, hey, okay, you just capture Maduro, but, a kid, 18-year-old had to die because he could not afford an inhaler. The thing that asthma, you spray it. A kid died in the United States recently because he could not afford an inhaler. But somehow you guys can afford billions of pounds to invest into these weapons that always broke down to go capture Maduro. Could you see why that a friend of that 18-year-old will be, will despise the government, will be like, hey, what the fuck? Will be against the government. You understand the divide that it brings internally, where, you guys give your people nothing, but you're able to spend billions and billions of pounds, dollars, in foreign affairs?
Yeah. So being an America First nationalist means I also critique and criticize my government when they're not benefiting the American people. So even though I might support like a certain foreign policy or intervention in Venezuela, that doesn't mean that I support every single thing the American government does. But I will say that I would agree to a certain extent that some of our military spending could be redirected towards better ends. But in America, we don't have healthcare for all, right? We don't have free healthcare, but if you have a medical emergency, you go to the hospital and you're not turned away. Like, that is a lie that is just said about America. I've been to the hospital before, and I won't say that,
but then,
you can
go
go
on.
to the hospital.
Tell us.
If you have an asthma attack, you are not being turned away at the hospital. I promise you.
But he died. Search it up.
I'd have to see those circumstances, but a lot of the things that get reported in America are not always true, and they're designed to try to demoralize American people and make America look bad on the global stage. Like, for example, during COVID, they were reporting millions of Americans dying of COVID. But if you look into the actual statistics, the average person who died of COVID in America had 4 other comorbidities. Like, usually they were morbidly obese, and they also sometimes they had cancer, sometimes they had pneumonia on top of that. Like, they were counting all these people as COVID deaths when there's many other things that took their lives. And you also look at the amount of people being reported as dying from flu. It collapsed in America during the COVID crisis. So you had flu deaths that are being counted as COVID. So when people are saying that, for example, this this case with the 18-year-old, I'm not sure. Okay, it's a country of 350 million people. Like, yeah, I'm sure that there could be an outlier of somebody
Yeah, of
dying
course.
of something tragic, like he couldn't get an inhaler in time. But it was a man obese. Did he have cancer,
No,
pneumonia?
it was an
Did he have all these
18-year-old.
other comorbidities? A lot of the time, things are designed to attack America
No,
and
it's
make us look bad. But I will absolutely admit that we have many problems in this country, like the fraud that our federal government is not cracking down on nearly enough, like our healthcare industry that needs to be straightened out and it needs to be built for the
so
benefit of Americans. So I agree with you on that.
yeah, so okay, there's a lot of things to report there. I mean, to go through there. Because you had these well, not had, but it's still happening right now, where a lot of people came out with a insurance, medical insurance update, and it was about like £1,000 a month, or maybe it went up by 100%, and it's like it's just going up, and you see people who are paying more for medical insurance than the rent. I mean, do you think all those people were just trying to paint America bad? Because I got it in my feed. I don't know why I go on X. Most of my X is like American. You know, it's all Americans. I see the infighting. I see this. I'm like, what's going on over there? I gotta go save them. She's gonna need to put a suit on. But 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 then you can't say all those people were lying, because of course probably not, right? Because my grandma, all my people live in America. I'm the only my mom and my auntie were the only ones in their family live here. My grandma, my uncles, basically my whole mom's family lives in America. And of course, when I talk to my uncles, he recently, God bless his soul, very good guy. I mean, he's a fantastic guy. I mean, he recently had an accident in a car, and then he told my mom about the medical bill. I'm thinking, oh shit, man, how many years will that take? So that's happening while your government is pledging to spend 1.5 trillion in what they call it, Department of War now. It's not defense anymore. It's Department of War now. So that machine is there for, that money is being allocated there for them to play around. So it is, that does create. Can you hear me? Because you just froze again. Oh God, can't have this. I think you just froze again, bro. All right, folks, we're having a huge network signal. Oh God, help us. Testing. Can you hear me, bro? It says you're muted. It says guest has muted themselves. And I don't think I can unmute you here. I need enough power. You muted the guest's mic. What do you mean I muted the guest's mic? 2 seconds. Let me remove you and you can come back in again. So it says the, oh God. All right, this is. Hey, can you hear me? Oh, still muted again. Fucking hell. Can you hear me, bro? Let me call you, because I can't even. Thank God this is happening live, because there's no way I would have, this is a problem that I need fixing. Can you hear me? This is a problem I need fixing. I didn't know this problem exists, so thank God it's happening, because tomorrow I'm going live with another guest. So I'm glad this is happening. So we need to fix this right now. So let me call you real quick, bro. Yes, bro. So you're connected and your mic can work, but but somehow it's not working live.
I'll put it right here, man.
All right, let's see. Let me see if I can share my. Oh, see, okay. But can you hear me through this? Can you hear me through this mic?
I muted myself so that maybe it wouldn't make your thing do that.
Oh God. Can you not join with your phone? Last 10 minutes so we can end it in a professional way. We can end it professionally. This is crazy. No, it's okay. I think it's, I don't know if it's my issue, bro. But I've been live right now for 6 hours. Actually, yeah, I think for 6 hours because I did 2 hours. Then now I think we're about to hit another. I think I did 2 hours and a half before you. So maybe my system is kind of like, you know, tired. But
yeah, I think you've got my mic muted because it says my mic is working right now.
Oh, it's okay, 2 seconds. Say something.
Hello.
Oh God. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. I can hear you. All right. Talk over that. All right, folks. Listen.
All right, dude.
Listen, guys.
The technical difficulties today have been insane.
I'm glad this has happened.
Oh man.
Because this is a new system that we're using where we can get people in easily. Can you hear me? It says that you've muted yourself again. God. All right. The chat says we're back, baby, and now we're gone. God. All right. Okay. Testing. Oh no. This is a shamble. Somebody says, "Are you sure we don't have an hacker?" I think we do. I think we do have an hacker. Someone in Iran is probably hacking. Oh yeah.
Hello.
You're back.
Dude, I don't know what's going on. I'm literally not hardly even doing anything. It's just going in and then going out.
That's crazy.
Okay, let's just try. I'm going to stand like as far away from the rest of my desk. It seems like if I just move, everything breaks down. So I'm going to stay far away from my desk, pull the mic out.
Oh, it's done again. You've done it again. So when you moved that mic, it went off again. So as soon as you touched that mic, it went off. Hello. Oh, you're back. Oh, I think it's the wire, bro. You got to change that.
Okay, I'm not going to touch anything.
All right, cool.
I'm just not going to touch anything.
Yeah, but now we know it's the wire, right? Because if if it happens again, we do it. So Somali, why do you think there was a lot of calls for, well, just before the New Year's, a lot of people were saying, hey, the Somali fraud, we have to go against it. We have to fight. We have to deport all these guys, everyone. And then nobody's talking about it anymore. What changed?
I think people are still talking about it. It's just that the problem in American global politics now is that the news cycle is constantly moving. It's constantly changing because there's a new story every single day.
Yeah.
No one can stay focused on anything. The point is that if we can make a story big enough, we can pressure the politicians to actually take action. It'll be a black mark that can be used against them for the rest of time, for their political future and their career. If JD Vance doesn't move against Somalian fraud, it's one thing on a myriad of other topics we can criticize him for. You want to become president? Well, you didn't do anything on illegal immigration. You didn't do enough on illegal immigration. You didn't implement the tariff policies well enough. You didn't take out Somalian fraud. or as I'm now with Rift TV, we're going into Indian fraud in Texas right now, which is a really big thing. I don't know if you've seen the memes everywhere, but it's the iceberg, right? The very tip of the iceberg's above the water in the meme, and it says Somalian fraud. And then the rest of the iceberg that's huge and underwater is Indian fraud.
It's gonna be
We have a
huge.
huge
It's gonna be
problem
big.
with H1B fraud and many other types of fraud being committed by Indian nationals. And it's really happening in Texas, where I'm from, North Texas specifically. And the Texas Republican government is doing nothing to protect the state and the Texan people. So us at Rift TV, we're going to be attacking Indian fraud.
Man, that's gonna be huge, bro. And let me know
Come
when
check
you
us out.
yeah, let me know when you publish it, man. It'll be cool to watch it and see you in style.
Absolutely.
Sick. So a lot of people are
Yeah.
like hating on this new guy who rightfully exposed the Somali fraud, Nick Shirley. A lot of people thinking, hey, this guy's a plant. This guy was planted, or this story is not, it's not a new story. It was a new story, and they're saying that, oh, this guy's, he's been to Ukraine, he's been to Israel multiple times, and he went to the Gaza Strip. He's done all this, and he's also been briefed by these guys. So maybe it was a plant to make this, a story. They gave him the story. I mean, that's normal. People obviously, people in government always come to you and be like, hey, I got a story. Do you want to publish it? I know that. But I don't know if this guy's a plant. What do you think? Is that something that you share as well, or are you against it? Because
I'm totally against it. It's interesting being on the other side of things, because I'm like, people might call me conspiratorially minded, and I would just say I always seek truth. I don't really mind being called that. And I would see online people being like, this guy's a Fed, this guy's a plant all the time. And when that has actual facts and truth and evidence behind it, then I'll support that. But now being on the other side of things, and they were calling me a plant, right? First I was a plant against the Zionists, then I was a Zionist plant. It's like, okay, please pick a side, tell me what I am. Nick Shirley, I've met him in person. I met him at AmFest. I talked to him. He's my age. We're both 23 years old.
Yeah.
I assume his real name is Nicholas. That's mine as well. Like, we've got the same name or the same age. We're similar guys. He's just a dude who makes YouTube videos, and people have known about the Somalian problem for a really long time. This isn't new. Ever since they started taking over Minneapolis, people have been calling this out. And especially in the past 6 months, this was a news story because they had the mayoral race in Minneapolis. This was a news story that a lot of Americans were speaking about because you had Jacob Frey, or Fry, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but Jacob Fry, he's ethnically Jewish, and he's running. He was the incumbent in the mayoral race of Minneapolis, and he was the mayor at the time of the George Floyd riots during 2020, when, as infamous now, Derek Chauvin, a Minneapolis police officer, knelt on George Floyd's neck, and then riots broke out. They burned down one of the police precincts in Minneapolis, and it was just total chaos, right? Well, he was the mayor during that time. So he became a national figure, and a lot of Americans were interested in the race this year to see if he would win again. And he exploited. There was a Somalian immigrant who, maybe he was born here, but his parents were immigrants. He was running to be the mayor, and Ilhan Omar, the famous U.S. congresswoman, Somalian congresswoman, she endorsed him. And so people were watching to see if this Somalian immigrant was going to also become the mayor of Minneapolis. And it was kind of going to be like indicative of how drastically Minneapolis has changed due to mass immigration. But Jacob Fry was able to exploit tensions between two different Somalian ethnic groups, or clans, I would say, within the Minneapolis population. There's two large immigrant groups from Somalia that are in different clans back in the homeland. In Somalia, there's two separate clans. Yeah, so he was able to support the bigger clan that
was in the United States.
that his challenger was not a part of, and he was able to get their support because they didn't like his challenger. And so that's how he was able to win. And so people have been
Insane.
talking about this in the past 6 months. So anyway, back to the topic, people attacking Nick Shirley saying he's a plant. No, people have been talking about these Somalian ethnic tribal warfare and how that's playing out in America, in our own country. So, people are just throwing the plant and Fed accusations left and right now. It's just not true when it comes to Nick Shirley.
Yeah, I mean, they've obviously, given that you've probably seen it yourself, that you've gotten the criticism yourself, people calling you a Fed, a plant, or maybe Trump sent you there, or maybe, maybe Nick Fluenter sent you there, maybe you're a groiper or whatever. And people, said that, and obviously you nobody else knows the truth apart from you, so you probably know, like, oh, this is the same thing happening to Nick Shirley. But a lot of people are trying to discredit him. Do you think it's because of, a lot of people are trying to make it in media? A lot of people are trying. It's a very competitive game. It is, always how, either you either have to be good as hell or you have to be first. So that's literally what it is. If you're good, then obviously you're going to do well. Just like, those good people who do like great work, people who are always waiting to see what these guys do, those great journalists. Or maybe you are just a guy who does it first, like the BBC, like the mainstream media. They are always first, right? Because they have they have hundreds of people working around the clock. So that's why they get, sometimes they get it. Now, of course, that's dropped. But for people like us, when somebody hits it big, you always feel like, oh, maybe there's some sort of disadvantage, advantage for him. Maybe Trump called him and Trump said, hey, Nick, go do this. So do you think it's because of, like, some people might be jealous of Nick?
100%. There's something about being on the sidelines. It's like this syndrome that just takes over people online now. It's when you're sitting on the sidelines observing and not taking action, it's irritating. Like it upsets these guys. They see someone like Nick Shirley who's out there actually doing the work, and because it's not them, or maybe because he says something that they disagree with, they want to discredit him. They want to destroy his reputation. And that's what you see. They do that to politicians as well. But Nick Shirley, he is talented, and he's also first. He just goes out, finds the good stories, and then he jumps on them before maybe somebody else does. So I think both of your points there, being first and being good, apply to him. So, credit to him, and that's what I'm trying to do now in Rift TV in North Texas with this H-1B fraud and this Islamification of. This is where I grew up, so this is my home. These are my hometowns, my homeland.
Is there anything that has changed?
Happening to us here.
Is there anything that has changed in terms of like Islamification of Texas? Is anything that has changed?
Oh,
anything?
Dude, it's insane. It's Oh, so much has changed.
Because I'm sure you was born in like 2002, right? Or 2003. So maybe when you were 10 years old in 2012, whatever, and you've seen something. You've seen it how it was. I'm sure you can remember as far back as 5. Okay. How was it like back then and how is it now? What do you think has changed?
Absolutely. And this will be the last thing that I can touch on, but this is very important.
Yeah, of course.
So I do want to get this out before I go. So I'm only 23 years old, right? I shouldn't have been able to see that much of a drastic change in my hometown yet.
Yeah, true.
But I have seen what I will go as far as to say the ethnic replacement of my people. That I will go as far to say that, because this has been an intentional demographic shift that my people, that my parents, my grandparents, and nobody else around me that I know have ever seen in their lifetimes before. We're talking about entire enclaves, entire neighborhoods, entire cities. I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so this is not like one city in my area, one town, one neighborhood. This is multiple cities in this one area who have gone from 60% white, 20% black, 20% Latino, and then everything in between as the rest. No, this is like this is an entire city going from what I just described, the ethnic makeup that I just described, to like 60%. Certain cities, like it's like literally 50% Indian in 20 years. And I'm not even joking. Like it is mass migration to an extent you wouldn't believe, especially because this is a Republican state. So the
Mm-hmm.
Republican Texas GOP party is in control. They
Yeah.
can they
So
can choose who comes into this state and who
they
doesn't.
can't blame
And
the
because
Democrats.
no, we blame the Republicans. They are betraying their base. They're betraying the Texas people, the Texas voters, the Texas Republicans who have supported them, donated to them, voted for them time and time again, have allowed this takeover of our cities, of our states. If you look at a map of H-1B visas, which is a business visa in America that's supposed to be specialized to very critical and unique work, right? You're supposed to be a very skilled worker in very specific areas of our economy in order to get an H-1B visa. Well, if you look at a map of H-1B visas in America, the other states, some of them have a decent amount, some of them have a few. Texas is covered, right? It's just absolutely covered and flooded in H-1B visas. And as has been widely reported in the American news, the H-1B visa process has been taken over. It has been manipulated to a degree that is ridiculous, and it's traitorous to our country. Essentially, companies and businesses, whether they're big, whether they're medium-sized or small, they are using H-1B visas to undercut American wages and American labor and just
Sure.
bring in people, and the vast majority are from India. Bring in people from India who will work for half the salary, sometimes even less, that American would require to work that job. And so they can keep their profits, undercut. Sometimes it's even under the table what they're paying these people, not pay taxes because they're paying some of their salary under the table to these H-1B visa holders. And it's almost all of them are in Texas now. It is like the greatest betrayal of the Texas people, the Texas voters, and especially Texas Republicans who have supported
But
the party that's dominated our state for like 60 years. It's ridiculous,
I
and
mean, how are you
I'm here
gonna
to fight
change
against
that?
it.
I mean, you hate to fight against it. Could you quickly just touch on that the last 2 minutes before we leave here? Because the people who you'll be fighting, the people who support HB1 visa, are not regular Americans. They're not just normal guy who's going to work. They are the billionaires. They are the Elon
Mhm,
Musk. They are
mhm,
the AI bros,
mhm. Well,
the Silicon Valley type,
unfortunately
and obviously
for
that's the people who paid Donald Trump his wage. Basically, we have to say that's the people who fund this. All these Donald Trump's investment here, and this things that he launches and his sons. Those are the people who you're going against. So how are you gonna fight
mhm,
that, bro? Just quick one before we wrap up.
absolutely. The the unfortunate part for those billionaires and those crypto guys, the PayPal mafia, etc., is that the people they're paying off still have to get the vote of the citizens. And some people are super black-pilled and they think that elections don't matter at all. But I would disagree. I would say the people like Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, our lieutenant governor Dan Patrick, and many other of our elected representatives, they are still accountable to the voters. If we can create a movement, if we can create a tidal wave of pressure let's disavow Greg Abbott. Let's start a Republican movement in the state of Texas to disavow Greg Abbott, disavow any elected representatives who have facilitated and allowed the H-1B fraud takeover of Texas. Let's disavow them. Let's get them out of office. Let's primary them in all of their seats, whether it's just someone in the Texas House of Representatives or whether it's all the way at the top with Greg Abbott. Let's create a tidal wave of pressure that primaries all these guys who have put Texas last, major businesses and billionaires first. Let's fight for our
But
state. They're
but
still accountable
let's
to the
just say
people. So
let's just say
that's what I would say.
let's just say you campaign about this on X, and obviously that's gonna hurt Elon Musk's business because he wants to recruit the H-1B visa bros that comes from India and whatever country, and you are out there trying to hurt his business. Don't you think it's just gonna easily censor you? Your post might get maybe 200 views. And let's say you're trying to do the same thing on Facebook. Don't you think they can just easily, I mean, given what we've just noticed about COVID, how Facebook basically pandered to Joe Biden, I mean, they can just censor you. So it's a big fight. And of course, I'm rooting for you over here. I want you to win because, my people live in America. I want them to be living in a safe country. I don't want them to be working hard only to pay off Somalis who are doing daycare business with no kids inside. That's horribly, that's disrespectful to the people who work very hard. And yeah, so I'll be rooting for you here. And soon one day, when the podcast gets big, we can build a mega studio somewhere in the state. It'll be fun. Yeah. It'll be fun.
We'll link up again, bro.
For sure,
we'll take over together.
That's it, my man. But with all the troubles, with all the technical issues, I have to say I've enjoyed talking to you, man. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's been a fruitful conversation. I enjoyed our disagreements.
It's been balanced, very balanced.
We feel the same.
Nah, appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely, Baraka.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Have a great day. Appreciate it.
You too, sir. Thank you. So there you go, folks. What a lovely gentleman, man. What a guy. Good guy. Speaks well. Very young as well, so you can tell he's going to cause a lot of trouble in the next year to come. I'll put the link in the description for you guys to find this channel. He's not started on YouTube yet, but he's about to. Well, he has started, but, he's just walking on water there, slowly testing the water. But he's going to take off very soon, given what he believes in what he says. He's able to go back and forth with somebody who disagrees with him. And that's a good character trait for somebody who wants to, get into this bloodly business. But guys, thank you so much for coming on. If you're new to the channel, again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, hand to the head salute. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you. They tried to erase the signal. They pulled the plug, demonetized, censored, shadow banned. That's what they did to us. But the truth, my friend, will always find the frequency. I call this Operation Airwave Liberation because I'm not just back, I'm broadcasting from ruined. But this time, the airwaves is mine. And this time, it's uncensored. I watched them strip everything that we built. No warning, no explanation, silence, just taking everything away. 300 plus videos, deleted, all gone. And if you think this is about community guidelines, you've not been paying attention. This is a war. This is a digital gulag dressed in a terms of service type of way. They want us gone because we're saying things that they don't like. Maybe we're asking questions because we're curious. They don't like the questions we're asking. Or maybe we refuse to play nice in this echo chamber that we're in. They first hit me with the algorithm. The video is not getting enough views. Then they hit me with the monetization. Well, no money for you. But guess what? They forgot to hit my will. They thought that'll be enough. It's gonna cave and it's gonna run away. But guess what I did? I rebuilt, I rewired, I learned the game behind the curtains and see how they operate. I'm not just back. We're launching Operation Airwave Liberation. No filters, no masters, just signals. The signal they tried to block, but this time is very strong. The wind can't even penetrate through this. This, my friend, isn't just about me. It's about all of us. Every single voice that's been cancelled, clipped, and used in the wrong way by the media. From now on, moving forward, I'm not just creating content anymore. I'm sorry. I'm building a resistance on camera, off grid, and above the algorithm. And if you are watching this, you are the resistance. This channel isn't just a platform. This is a broadcast tower for the truth. I'm glad I'm back.